This is a Headgum podcast.
Hello, hello. This is Fake the Nation, where we talk about news, we talk about culture, and where we take some time off to celebrate our independence here in the United States. Oh my God. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week full of hot dogs and flip-flops and beaches and barbecues and just some real fun gossip. Yeah, that's what I like out of a barbecue party. It's just like some fun gossip in flip-flops. But don't worry, we still have a fantastic little show for you today. We've been keeping some conversations in the vault to release at this very moment. So let's get into it with this next topic. And next topic, Surgeon General Vivek Murthy announced this week that he wants Congress to enact a law that would put warning labels on social media. This feels like a big deal to me, like the moment when they decided to do that on cigarettes. So to talk about what could be a big deal, we are joined by the excellent comedian and host of the SiriusXM show Tell Me Everything. It is the wonderful John Fugelsang. Hey, John.
Hey, Negin.
We are also joined by the inimitable comedy writer and head writer of the new animated series God's Gang. It's the wonderful Rob Kuttner. Hey, Rob. So, okay, a warning label on social media. Does this sound like a good idea, Rob? I know you have kids. What do you think?
I mean, I have two minds of it as always. One is that, what better way to make kids want to try something than to have the grown-ups worried about it. But I do think that there's been, those things have been effective in the past. I also think it could go further. I think they should have warning labels for adults as well. Warning, this product will waste an hour of your life as soon as you open it. This will send you down a rabbit hole arguing with people who think chemtrails make you gay. So I think adults are really at risk in social media as well. And honestly, like the funny thing about this is that the Surgeon General introduced it, but it would have to be approved by Congress. And like half of Congress only lives for social media nowadays. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene is basically the angry lady arguing with a cat meme. Like that's all she is. So it would be hard to sort of get support for it. But I mean, I think in general, the more attention we can draw to it as it not being just an innocent thing, I think that's a good in general as a social goal.
Fugelsang, you also have a kid. Where do you stand on this?
With Rob, I think adults can't self-regulate for ourselves. I need a grown-up to regulate this for grown-ups, please.
Yes.
Because I always say Facebook lets us all feel like teenagers again in the worst possible ways. I mean, I swear, Instagram is giving me acne. I don't know how this happened, but Instagram is giving me acne. Warning labels are great. It's just like what they tried to do on the tobacco and alcohol products. It's one of the most powerful, completely useless tools we have. And the Surgeon General can't do it. Congress has to get behind that. And we're never going to get there, at least not anytime soon, because social media, like all media, is driven by money. And we have legalized bribery in this country. So you would not actually ever see any congressional action. This is just having a label, like on a record or on a cigarette. And that's good. I mean, it's something. It shows, hey, historians of the future, we knew better. But ultimately, if you really... Yeah, if you want to protect your teenager's health, you've got to have laws that say if my child is harmed by this, you can be held liable. That's how you get actual change. And by the way, for over how many years have the cigarette companies used the First Amendment to avoid the requirement that they have to start putting pictures of diseased lungs on cigarette packages?
Yeah.
But they've done it for 10 years. They've been saying, no, First Amendment, we don't have. They fought that law off. At my son's school up here in New York, they make all the kids put their phones in a Yonder pouch when they go into school. And it works great. The kids have their phones with them all day, but they're in a pouch. They can't get at them. I had to do the same thing for a Bob Dylan concert in Brooklyn a few months ago. And then when you're done, they give you, they open up the pouch and you have your thing back. Yeah. This was like comedy clubs in the 90s. Do you remember cigarette smoke in comedy clubs in the 90s? You'd come home and you'd smell like a pack of Camels. I mean, cigarette smoke was everywhere in the 90s. We forget this now, but they banned smoking in bars and people were upset. Before that, they required seatbelts and everybody was upset. Habits can change, and they can change more rapidly than we expect. What's that, Rob?
I was just going to say, I was really glad to hear about your kids' experience because my daughter's high school is imposing that this coming year, and we were so no phones on campus rule. They have to check them in, and we were so thrilled. And the interesting thing is that a couple of her and her friends are kind of already there. Like they they did what they call Victorian Day, where they tried to put their phones away in their lockers and said, "How long can we go without our phones?" It's like, because they sort of realized that they're swamped by this stuff.
So wait, how old is your
Yeah.
daughter?
15.
15. Okay, so
And
she at 15 has already gotten the sense that it is invading too much of her time.
yeah, and I think it requires grown-ups to lead and say that this is right. We should put some limits on this. And the irony is that we think that the parents are going to some of the parents who want to sort of hover around their kids and know what they're doing 24/7 might be a bigger obstacle than the kids themselves to this. The kids kind of get it. They're like, this is too much.
I think this is great. That both of your kids have these yonder pouch situations, but also a friend of mine has I guess she's 16 now, but they wouldn't let her have a phone until she was 14, until she started high school. She had a flip phone, and so she could get in touch if something went horribly wrong, but she can't do a ton of texting. It's T9, whatever. It made the phone seem just incredible. Sometimes she would forget it at home. That's how much she did dislike that phone and how little she thought about it, right? And I thought that was incredible. She also got some other parents to do it with her. She said middle school was a bit of a nightmare because the daughter was just like, but all my friends,
Yeah.
and whatever. But she really stuck to her guns. And I mean, I feel like I see the difference in this kid, right? Like not having a phone until 14, where she was a little bit wiser to be able to handle it. That said, a 14-year-old is still a dum-dum and needs more parental guidance. But I mean, I think it's just crazy to me. One of the fucking attacks on this proposal from the Surgeon General was like, we don't have enough research. And you're like, how much research? I know when I'm on Instagram for more than 6 minutes, I start feeling horrible about myself. I start feeling like a failure. I start getting anxious about all the things I haven't done. I start getting anxious that I haven't been to some random place in Italy that I've seen a photo of. Will I ever get there? I mean, it is horrible, so I don't even think, I mean, look, let's get research, but also fuck research. It's clear what's happening here. Like, we don't need any more data. We don't need any more data. Suicides are on the rise. Depression is on the rise. Anxiety is on the rise. Like, how much data do we need? It's so obvious what's happening here. So I thought that anyone who has a criticism there, I felt like was ridiculous. In New York City, they've actually designated social media a public health hazard. And there's a bunch of states that are taking individual actions to kind of impose some sort of regulations on it. So I feel like we're getting somewhere. And my kid is 5. Do you think we will get somewhere by the time she would have been bugging me about that? She would be bugging me about this?
If Abraham Lincoln's parents had an iPad and they could have gone to a restaurant with their child because they had this iPad, Abraham Lincoln's parents would have given their kid an iPad.
Yeah, they would have. Yes.
I mean, that's the point. Is that it's that like your friend, like asking the parents to do it is like, and you're not even there yet. Again, you have no idea like what you're in for, but like it's too much to ask for a parent, honestly, just to be upfront. It needs to be like a social agreement, I think, to do it and come from above. Even if it's not like heavy-handed, it just needs to be like, this is the sort of consensus. And if you want to fight it, you have to fight it on your own. But we're going to work on this together, I think.
Was there an upswell from parents at your school to get that program instituted? Rob?
Not that I know of. I think that I think the school just saw what was happening. I mean, like one sort of side thing is I think there was some, I think there was just a bunch of different types of things that were problematic behaviors, and I don't know. The brilliant thing was it was like a news drop. Like the kids were away on the school trip that I mentioned. It was the last week of exams, so everybody's maxed out, and on a Friday afternoon, this email goes out, and it was like a mic drop of like. You guys are not going to be able to respond to this, and we're just dropping the hammer. It was like it was
the tortured poets department for parents. They just like went nuts.
Yeah, that's like current reference. I was going to say it's the Godfather baptism montage.
Okay, well, let's talk quickly about a little sideways issue here about AI. There's a new bill in California with 30 new measures on artificial intelligence aimed at protecting consumers and jobs. Obviously, the tech industry thinks this is idiotic. I think that's an exact word that they've used. What do you think, Fugel's saying about regulating AI?
We can try to regulate it all we want. The genie's out of the bottle. Keep on trying to regulate it. We'll do our best, but it's going to happen. I'm choosing to be optimistic about AI, Negin.
Okay.
I'm choosing to believe it's going to change and revolutionize so much in terms of how we work, in terms of medicine, how disease is diagnosed and treated, in terms of business. I'm not saying that AI is better than human beings. I'm choosing to believe that AI will make being human better. And I think that's worth a couple of violent robot uprisings. But we're going to try as much as we can to regulate it. But it's like opioids. It's out there, man. It's like porn. Good luck trying to control it.
Rob, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think it's ironic that, just a couple of years ago in California, we had a governor who was himself part of the battle versus man versus machine, who could have taken a real pivotal role in this, the governor himself.
It would have been such a good look. Yeah.
It would have been good for him, and he would have probably done it. But I mean, I think John's right. I do think, actually, I was kind of struck by something you said before. When there are lawsuits, when there's litigation, that's sort of when the actual thing can stop. So it might be a matter of not actually stopping it, but being able to sort of prove harm and organize classes of people who were being harmed by it to sort of like to dampen the edges, to sand off the edges of it, I think. But it is hard to stop.
It's interesting because there's something that I feel, there's these incredible laws in the European Union about social media, and children and stuff like that in various countries in Europe. And they'll probably be leaders in AI regulation as well. At the same time, everybody wants the benefits of AI, right? Because I agree with you, John, like they're going to do shit fucking figuring out cancer. Like I just saw a TED Talk recently where they forever couldn't figure out where monarch butterflies were going from one place to the other. There was like a hole in the middle. They couldn't figure out their migration patterns, and AI fucking figured out the monarch butterflies migration patterns.
It's worth having a sixth finger in the occasional photograph. I'll take a seventh finger. It's fine.
Exactly. So there's there's sequencing, CRISPR things, genes, stuff with genes, things I don't understand, but incredible things that are happening in science that are really being powered by AI. And I think that's really exciting. Also, wow, it wastes a lot of energy. Like one ChatGPT request is the equivalent of like 100 Google searches or something in terms of how much energy consumption it requires. That said, still, I think it can be incredibly exciting. But there's something about us as a country where we're like, hey, if there's a car, it needs to be regulated. There needs to be crash test dummies. We need to have all sorts of like metrics on how this car does. If it's an air conditioner, if it's a refrigerator, if it's salmonella in packaging of chicken in factories, we need lots and lots and lots of rules. But for whatever reason, if it comes from a screen, guys, let's leave it alone. It knows what it's doing. And this is the same for the social media thing and now for the AI thing. Just because it comes out of a screen doesn't mean, just because there's beeps and boops and binary code doesn't mean that we shouldn't regulate it. So my feeling is, let's regulate the fuck out of it, because we just because we don't know how powerful this thing could become, and how many photos with a sixth finger do we want to tolerate? Okay, let that be a question for all of you, folks, and hit me up. What are your thoughts on regulating AI and social media and fucking all of it? All right, that, my friends, is the end of the show, and what a delightful, meaty conversation I got to have with my two friends. What I would really love is for you to be able to follow all of their wonderful work, everything that they do. Rob Kuttner, where do they do that?
They can follow me on X at Apocalypse How, on Instagram at Rob Kuttner, and just a little plug, I would love if people went to godsgang.com and watched the show and just liked it. Like, smash that like button, bros! Because
yeah, dudes.
Those are the votes that will literally get the show into the world.
I mean, absolutely do it, just for all the little kids like mine who get to experience this show. Very, very exciting. Fugelsang, where do they find you?
You can find me at Twitter. I still call it that. I'm into dead naming. Twitter and Instagram and all the Threads things and SiriusXM. If you don't have that, the John Fugelsang podcast brings you the best parts of our radio show every day for free. All the cool celebrity interviews and what have you. And I'm on tour with Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour. Coming to a town near you. Go to sexyliberal.com for that. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm writing a book right now, and I never leave the house. And it's nice to virtually see you both.
Ah, so great to see you. Follow everything that Fugelsang does. Check the website so you can see him live. I'm sure he is coming to a city near you. And let's take a quick break so we can hear about our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll have more. And we are back, and we have another wonderful topic from the vault. Here we go. And next topic. I read a letter to social cues that I couldn't help but talk about. And to do just that, I'm joined by the wonderful comedian, writer, and excellent pontificator, the one and only Banari Lee Poulton. Hey, Banari.
Hey, Negin.
I'm also joined by the delightful comedian, New Yorker, and educator, Zilla Vadnas. Hey, Zilla.
Hey.
So, you guys, I'm going to read the letter for our listeners and then let's just together solve this woman's problem. My boyfriend and I have been dating for nearly a year. It's going really well, but his close-knit group of friends is not welcoming to me. They're bilingual, and when they hang out together, they speak Spanish. I'm studying Spanish, but when people speak quickly or use slang, I can't follow the conversation even beyond the language barrier, though they don't seem all that interested in getting to know me. My boyfriend has asked what he can do to help, but I'm not sure. I'm afraid his friends may resent me if he asks them to switch to English when I'm around. We're about to go on a 2-week vacation with the whole group, and just thinking about the trip makes my stomach hurt. Help! Okay, so what should she do? I'm going to start with you, Zilla, because are you bilingual?
I am.
Okay, as am I. So what do you think of this situation?
Well, so as someone who is bilingual, but I didn't grow up speaking Spanish, so there's times where my Spanish can get really rusty. I do understand the heartbreak of when you don't fully know a language and you're like, damn, they'll never know how charming I am. Because usually when you're learning an unfamiliar language, you're just speaking in like the most basic terms, right? So I think she feels left out. I find her phrasing interesting, okay? And I also wondered, and I'm not saying that, maybe I am outing myself, but I also wondered what race she was and what race he was, because I feel like there's a lot of nuance when you're talking about interracial relationships or relationships where the people come from two different cultures. She said, I don't want his friends to resent me if he asks them to start speaking in English, but I don't think her boyfriend offered that. So I wondered if that was best. Because if that was her request for them to start speaking in English, like my first thought was, I'm sorry, sweetheart, Duolingo or immersion, go hang out. Like if this means that much to you. I do also wonder on the other side of that, because I've been on the other side, are his friends purposely not talking English? Is she not that likable? There's so much going on here, right? So like I felt like I needed to know more. What do I think? I think she should try to brush up on her Spanish. I think when it comes to certain conversations, I've done this when I've hung out with people that don't know Spanish and then we're talking Spanish or vice versa. I'll translate. So meaning like if it's something that I think is important for them to hear, if I want to assure them that we're not talking about them, I'll just say, hey, we're talking about this real quick. So I think, I don't know, like, does her boyfriend not want to translate? There's so much here. Also, where's her friend group? Girl, get you some friends.
That's right. You got to counter it with your own like slang talking friend group.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, if you don't speak another language, then get your in jokes and I don't know, you bring up your pig Latin and all that.
Right. Well, I mean, so okay, I'm as listeners know, I speak Farsi. I speak Farsi. I also speak Azerbaijani because of the area that Iran my parents are from. Don't worry about it. But I also speak Francais. It's not a big deal, but I lived in Paris, and
I never heard that. What a shocking revelation.
I've been on every side of this situation, and my feeling has always been, who gives a shit if you don't understand what's going on? Fucking, you'll figure it out eventually. You don't need to know on day one what the fuck is going on. Just hang out, be cool.
As a dude who often doesn't know what the fuck is going on, and I don't I don't speak dual languages, but I do pick up on social cues. I've never not gotten along with people who, because I understand. And you also know, like, oh, you're shit talking me, or yeah, we're cool. Like, there's a way to do it. I feel like, and I mean, this also might just be because, like, I've been watching a lot of Shogun recently, but I was thinking about
Excellent show.
I really just want that. Like, I think about how many times, like, there's so much fun to be had of you. Like, you definitely know when people are bullshitting you, or like they said they were talking shit about me, right? It's like, no, they just said that the Asian disagrees. Like I understand.
Right.
Like, also, though, there's nothing more fun than learning dirty words in another language. Like, I love hearing shit talk in another language. It is the most fun. It is so awesome. And also, she's missing an opportunity to, like, team build. Like, this is a team building episode, exercise. This is an opportunity to, like, ingratiate yourself with this group and, like, learn some new customs and languages and, like, have some fun. Like, be cool, man.
Be cool. I mean, totally. And also, you're going to be on a beach trip for 2 weeks. There's plenty of opportunities for you to pull someone aside and, like, have a nice chat, or, like, go throw your towel down next to someone's towel and ask them a bunch of questions in English. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and also, like, learn a dirty phrase. Like, ask one of the friends to, like, teach you, like, 2 dirty phrases.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you'll be
And I
golden.
have to say, like, having had many French boyfriends, I remember the very first boyfriend, I was like, oh, I don't understand what's going on because they're using so much slang. By the time the second boyfriend rolled around, and I'm not saying your relationship is gonna end, but it might. By the time the second boyfriend rolled around, I was like, shit, I have a ton of slang now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, I got this, And so, it gets better. And I think then the other side, when I'm speaking like Farsi or something, I remember my parents would be like, we should probably speak English around Jason, around my husband. And I'd be like, are you fucking out of your mind? Like, I do not want to hear you guys speak English literally ever. Like, that sounds crazy to me. Please do not ever speak English in my presence, like, and Jason, like, he doesn't care at all. He can also figure it out. It's not like me and my parents are like, we're not talking about Dostoevsky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it is where, what are we having for dinner, and what, like, it's like, you can figure it out. And so I think, like, use this opportunity. Also, it's good for you to, like, use those skills of figuring it out.
I mean, well, no, you said the correct thing. Like, the vacation, there's so many options. Read a book, read on the beach.
Yeah.
Also, Benari, 100%. First of all, you always got to know how to crack into a different friend group, right? So when I was a kid, my best friend was Polish, and she used to invite me to the house. This was in Queens, and her parents only spoke Polish, and I learned how to say "I am a watermelon" in Polish to make them laugh, because I thought this would win them over. And you know what? Guess who got to sleep over? Me, the little watermelon.
Yeah. There it is.
There it is. Learn the languages, learn how to ask for a beer or a wine if that's what you like, or a joint if that's what you like. But just get with it. I felt like she was trying to make it their work, when the real thing is,
it's your work.
Yeah, it's your work.
Yeah.
It's and you should be joyful about it.
They will be inclusive. If you do a little bit of the work, they will work to bring you in.
Yeah, because
and
they'll
you
be
too
like, oh,
can learn,
she's cool.
Yeah, and then they will teach her how to say "I am a watermelon." I think that's a great icebreaker.
And I think is that the main takeaway from this conversation is that we're all watermelons at some level.
Just watermelons.
Take it easy.
All right, friends, that is the end of the show. What I would love is for the people of Fake the Nation to be able to follow you and all of the wonderful things you do. Zilla Vodnas, where do they do that?
Oh, you can find me at Zilla Vodnas on Instagram, or at Zilla Vision on Twitch.
Oh, that's right. You've got your Twitch game. Yeah. And definitely do that, because I've seen this woman perform. She's so funny. She's so charming. You will absolutely enjoy everything that she puts out online. So look her up. Benari Lee Poulton, where do people find you?
Online, you can find me at Benari Lee at the Bad Place, at Instagram, at Blue Sky, whatever, all the places. Just at Benari Lee, and yeah, I'll be around.
And folks, that is the end of the show. I'm so excited for you to be celebrating this wonderful holiday and getting some time off. I hope you're enjoying it. Just a little reminder, you can catch me on the Great American Punchline Tour. Go to bit.ly/Great American Punchline to get tickets. We'll be in Milwaukee, Muncie, Hazard, Memphis, and Fayetteville, Arkansas. So check us out if you're anywhere near those towns. I would so love to see you and chat with you after the show. So come seek me out. Otherwise, I want to thank everyone who made this show a possibility. That's our wonderful producer, Andrew McGuire. Thanks to everyone at Headgum. Thanks to Gaby Alter for our theme music. If you have any ideas, you can email us at fakethenationpodcast@gmail.com. And otherwise, we'll be back in your earballs next week.
That was a Headgum podcast.